we were 100% right about Justin Fields. He balled out in the sense of he looked kind of different to what he did on the Chicago Bears. Very effective and efficient with the football. No turnovers, although some of those snaps were very, very oh no, not a good start. Well, Kirk Cousins' offensive line was disappointing for the Falcons. Kirk Cousins looked lost on a lot of the throws and just did not perform very well. His stat line is 61.5% completion percentage, only 155 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, a passer rating of 59 in Atlanta's 18-10 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 1. I want to know, what grade would you give Justin Fields' Steelers starting debut?
Justin Fields'
grade.
I give him a good grade. I give him, B+, A-. I think his passing was, he managed the game. He did a nice job managing the game. He was 17 of 23, 156 yards. He rushed 14 times for 57 yards. No turnovers. That's big for Justin Fields, and that's important. Najee Harris had 20 carries for 70 yards, and Pickens was the big receiver with 7 receptions for 85 yards. T.J. Watt, he's a beast, that guy. The biggest disruptor of the Falcons' offense, particularly Cousins and Robinson. Cousins only 16 of 26, 155 yards, 1 TD, and importantly, 2 interceptions. One of them was almost a pick 6, and that was really the turning point in the game. The Falcons still had a chance, but after that, that was the end for them. He didn't play at all in the preseason. He hadn't played a game since Game 10 last year when he hurt his Achilles tendon. That Achilles injury was to his plant foot, so he may be favoring that a little bit going into his first game. He didn't look like the Kirk Cousins that we know from the past. Robinson, 18 carries, 68 yards, well below what we would expect from him. But again, it was the Steelers' defense, and particularly T.J. Watt, who really was creating chaos out there. Overall, I'd say Cousins was terrible. The Falcons didn't score at all in the second half. I'd say the new coach, Raheem Morris, what was he thinking about when he went in the halftime? He should have made some adjustments, because they didn't make any, and it showed, and the Steelers' defense dominated them. I would say the Steelers are intrigued with Justin Fields, his youth and his athleticism. I predict he'll continue to be the starter as long as the Steelers' offense plays well and he doesn't have turnovers and they keep winning. He's going to be out there, and that'll be the end of Russell Wilson, despite his efforts to show he's a big leader over there talking to the offensive line and the offensive players after most of the series and being on the sidelines as a cheerleader. I'm sure he felt, he was out of place not being the starter, and it showed. And he's still hoping he can get back in there. But if Justin Fields continues to play well, sayonara to Russell Wilson. Maybe they'll trade him to the Giants or something. That's a possibility. The Giants were interested in him, and they'll have no use for him if Fields continues to play well. The other thing I'd note is the field goal kicker for the Steelers. He had a 57-yard field goal, a 51-yard field goal, a 44-yard field goal, and a 25-yard field goal. Those field goals were the difference in this game. Without them, they wouldn't have won. The Steelers' defense in the red zone, outstanding. Watt, he was really, I can't say enough good things about him. The one thing that really upset him is he had that the bull rush there and caused Cousins to fumble the ball, and he recovered it, and then they called him offsides. It was close, I'd have to say. You could see he started just before the ball snapped. Whether he went across the line or not is something that they didn't really show very well. But he was livid. He was yelling at the officials. He went over to his own coaches and complained about it. And that's a guy who's got a lot of fire, and he's really the leader for the defense of the Steelers. Without him, I don't think they've ever won a game when he hasn't been in there since he came in the league. I would say Cousins better get it together soon, or the fans are going to be calling for Penix.
Well, I'll say this: he got the NFL referee to admit he was wrong on that offsides call. By the way, so yeah, no, he was not offsides. When you look at it, he wasn't offsides. I don't even know if I should be impressed because that's what we thought. Justin Fields did exactly what we thought, what we predicted. He ran the offense as efficiently as the offense is structured. It is a lot of run, a lot of QB runs, a lot of short passes. Justin Fields did not throw a single pass over the middle of the field. He played it safe. Check down, short pass, occasional deep shot. He had a beautiful throw to Pickens on the left side. He did very well. Justin Fields looked different. He looked like actually a decent quarterback. Now, were there some misreads and some, more yards he could have gained? Absolutely. But for this game to come in like he did, as sort of like a revenge tour of I didn't get the starting job. I outplayed Russell Wilson. They didn't give it to me, so this is my chance to earn it. And now week 2, Mike Tomlin saying we're going into it with Justin Fields as our starter. Russell Wilson's still hurt. I think Fields could replicate exactly what he's been doing, which is play better than the guy who they were initially naming the starter, the guy who had the pole position of the starting job. Justin Fields played well. What's crazy is that, there was some mishandling of some snaps between him and Zach Frazier. But actually, I think it was on the first play of the drive, too, that missnap between Justin Fields and Zach Frazier ended up in a 3-yard gain, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. But decision-making wise, Justin Fields was flawless. Ball security, perfectly fine. No fumbling, no interceptions. Ran the ball pretty well. The offense actually got better as the game progressed. After that almost cataclysmic start with the miss snap, it looked like, things were, picking up the pace. And then when it mattered most, the first drive in the fourth quarter, it was 13 plays, 72 yards, took 7 minutes off the clock. And the Falcons needed every opportunity they could get because that offense was abysmal, especially with a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's a 3-time Pro Bowler. We expected Kirk Cousins to do better just because what we saw last year was Cousins was playing very, very well before the Achilles injury, but I think that was subdued due to one guy and one guy only. Kind of, but mostly one guy only. TJ Watt, who was an absolute menace. He had 3 pressures, 1 sack, 2 QB hits, 3 tackles for a loss. And also a fumble. Technically, he had like 2 forced fumbles. The one obviously got called back due to the offsides. But he also had a crucial fumble recovery on Kirk Cousins. So TJ Watt right now, the way he looked against the Falcons, and it's weird because the Steelers defense always makes quarterbacks look iffy. Like Lamar Jackson against the Steelers looks pretty bad. But I'm saying this right now. Maybe it's a little bit of an overreaction. TJ Watt, if we're doing MVP votes right now, TJ Watt should be number 1 in the MVP conversation currently for week 1 because he was doing basically everything. He was all over the field, making run stops, disrupting the quarterback, pressuring the quarterback. He was all over the place. TJ Watt was insane, as well as Larry Ogunjobi also did a very, very nice play. Him and Watt combined for one of the most back-breaking, kind of game-changing interceptions to Dante Jackson. Kirk Cousins threw it to Dante Jackson. And then TJ Watt, as expected, how do you start off great? How do you end? Well, with the game-ending sack. So he was all over the place. Meanwhile, the Atlanta, I don't know exactly what's wrong with Atlanta. I think, honestly, it's one thing, and we actually spoke about this on the show. I went back and looked at the tape because Kirk Cousins, and I wonder if you remember this, Kirk Cousins asked to play in the preseason, but then he had the quote that his request fell on deaf ears. Well, what did Raheem Morris say about this game? Quote, I feel like Kirk is healthy. He's been healthy since he's been here, since he's been back. And even during the preseason, before the preseason started, Kirk Cousins wanted to play. Raheem Morris, said you're not going to play. And there was a lot of rust. And honestly, you look at some of his dropbacks, he seems kind of timid in the pocket.
Well, maybe he's worried about his Achilles heel.
By the way, and this is via Next Gen Stats, would you believe play action? Only quarterback in the NFL Week 1 to never run play action. Deep pass percentage, how many did he throw? Oh, one of 2 quarterbacks, one of which we're going to talk about a little bit later, to have 0%. Did not throw a single pass deep. So no play action, even though Bijan was running okay early in the game, and no deep passes.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why he got a 28.6 QBR.
I think Kirk Cousins played very poor, and I'm saying right now that it'll take until about week 6 where we see, okay, that's the Kirk Cousins we're familiar with. I'm not saying he's going to go back to last year's Kirk Cousins because he doesn't have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, as well as, at one point, Dalvin Cook. So, but I think he should be much better than he was. And by the way, he needs to do it much faster than week 6 because, my God, did Baker Mayfield torch Washington.
Yeah.
He was 4 touchdowns and like 300 yards.
Yeah.
So Kirk Cousins needs to get his act together.
High, ranked number 3 in the quarterback ranking.
Yeah, no, he needs to get his act together. We're not talking about Baker, but I think we should, honestly. I should have added it as a topic, but Baker torched it. So Kirk Cousins needs to get his act together right now. That offensive line was the disgrace. The defense could have been much better. They could not stop anything. And Chris Boswell, someone steroid tested him right now. He was kicking 50-yard bombs like they were chip shots. It was incredibly impressive. I was impressed with the Steelers through and through. You picked the Steelers, I picked the Falcons, so I'm thoroughly impressed with the way Mike Tomlin and Justin Fields each coached and played that game. Congratulations to the Steelers. It was a hell of a game. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.